So I'm Philippe, I'm a reader at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and I'm the director of the Sexual and Reproductive Health and HIV Research Program Consortium.
And what was the title of your presentation?
I talked about how HSV-2 guidelines or treatment to treat herpes simplex virus infection get taken up at international and then at national level, given we've participated in accumulating the evidence, running those trials. So that's the case study. International level was WHO level, national level was the case study in Ghana.
And can you tell me a little bit more about the strategy that you used?
I think at the international level, what we did for that particular case study was we employed a researcher to conduct a series of in-depth interviews during a meeting at WHO when a revision of the genital ulcer disease management guidelines was undertaken, and that's last year. And then she and partners in Ghana conducted a series of interviews at both the programmatic and research levels in Ghana to understand from their point of view how the national policy would be influenced from both the research conducted within Ghana, which informed the international guidelines, and these international guidelines that were coming to WHO. So at the same time we explored a little bit the processes of commissioning research, but also the decision making, how, generally speaking, policymakers in Ghana would take on board evidence that we can generate.
Okay, and what were the main lessons that you think you learned from that process?
Well, first of all, you need to build coalitions with the international level and the national level, and certainly this case study exemplified the fact that we were very successful at the international level, because the WHO and the international research community had sat together, defined the agenda, conducted the research, and got back together to share the results and update the guidelines. And that was with the participation of regional or national program managers from the different countries and regions of WHO. So that was quite successful, and you would imagine the same thing should happen at the national level. And whereas we did try to build those partnerships, there was a lack of ownership within Ghana, which led to, in fact, on the one hand, expecting international guidelines to come to Ghana from WHO, even though research had been conducted, a trial had been conducted in Ghana, had been disseminated in Ghana with the participation of program managers and other stakeholders. But there was a lack of ownership, and even though you're trying to involve people at the outset and right at the end of results, what you really should do is to have more repeated contact. And the issue of champions of research, or champions of your particular research to be influenced into policy, to influence policy, came up again, and we did have one particular champion, but these people move on professionally, and we lost that person. So when we came to the end of the trial results, we had that person making a recommendation, but nothing happened afterwards. I think perhaps what we've learned is you need to cast the net a little bit wider. You need to influence a broader number of people. These are the so-called intellectual clubs, people who know each other, trust each other in terms of the quality of the research they do, in terms of messaging. And it's not certainly just an international result conducted by perhaps a mixed team of foreigners as well as Ghanaians that can influence directly, unless you have those connections with these intellectual clubs.